the song, and then they go, "Say it!" Because I can't anymore. And you go, I go, "We're not gonna take it." Yeah, I can do it. It's okay. Are you ready for another one? And he said it right when that odd moment when the crowd goes quiet just for a second. So a single voice came out and said, "Are you?" Press immediately, he said, "They're hitting the road and back on tour." I'm like, what the fuck? Did you just tell me this miraculous elixir stops vaginal dryness? Well, I'm against that.
You guys ready? I know you're ready. Yeah. Please welcome Dee Snider!
Thank you. Thank you. Damn. It's nice. How's it going?
Yeah. Not bad. Thanks for
welcome. It is so nice to have you here.
It's good to be had.
So before we get started, I do have to mention I saw an interview with a lead singer of the Tubes, Fee Waybill.
Yes.
And the first thing out of his mouth was, "Dee Snider is rock and roll. The guy gets it." So have you seen that?
I have not seen that, and that's probably because I look a lot like his character Quaalude back in the 80s. When he saw, I didn't realize it recently, someone said, what influenced your look? And I thought, well, Tim Curry, and New York Dolls, and oh shit, Quaalude from the Tubes. And when I look at pictures of Quaalude, the cheeks, the makeup, the hair. When Fee saw me, when Twisted was on a festival bill, and he saw me walk out, he didn't know if this was a parallel universe, and I was wearing his shit. So that's flattering, actually.
Yeah, it was really nice to hear that, and it's true. I mean, how much of your personality do you throw into your performance? It seems very authentic, yet very electrifying. I mean, how did it come about?
Necessity is the mother of invention, and when you play biker bars and you're wearing Daisy Dukes and high heels and women's long sleeve gloves and negligees, you learn to develop a certain shell, a toughness. And there's more than one biker who's been beaten up by a guy wearing Daisy Dukes, high heels, and a negligee. And it sort of, I never was a tough guy. But again, you're in a situation where you either get swallowed up, eaten alive in these little clubs and bars, or you stand up for yourself and you prove your worth to the audience, whatever that takes. And suddenly that becomes you, who you are.
Was it a hard transition going from the small bars to the stadiums? I mean, did you have to adapt much?
I was never in a small bar. Let me clarify. In my mind, we were in the smallest bars and playing to nobody. And the first Twisted Sister shows, we stole police barricades. And we put them in front of the stage, and they added "keep back" on the barricades. 7 people came in the bar, and when you see a barricade that says "keep back," what's the first thing a human being does? Go right up to the barricade. What are we keeping back from? So, and it just created this. So in my mind, I also was born with a head the size of a large melon, so I was meant for arenas. So in my mind, I was always, if you see me even in the bar days, pointing to the top row in my mind, the arena. So I was always, I say I was never in a small bar. And in my head, I wasn't. I would never leave the dressing room. Now, in the small bars, the dressing room also, has a lot of white porcelain in it, and it says bathroom on the door. And I would sit in those bathrooms in between sets because stars don't walk around. You don't see stars walking around. And people would come in and take a shit or something. And Dee Snider's sitting in there because I'm in my dressing room. So it was always a state of mind. Even today, I mean, my wife said to me, "You're an egomaniac." Just the other day, 50 years, "You're an egomaniac." I'm like, "You just figured that out?" So it's just, but that's what is sort of self-preservation. to think you're more than you are, because that helps get you through those little tough shows with 7 people in the audience, including my wife.
So I want to ask you, I've got to ask you about We're Not Gonna Take It. It's more than a song, it's an anthem. When did you realize it was going to have a cultural impact? And you wrote it to say you weren't going to take what exactly? I mean, what was the impetus to write that?
That sounds like the review I saw in the Village Voice.
I didn't read it.
It was it said it was singles releases. It said Twisted Sister, We're Not Gonna Take It. Atlantic Records, What From Whom? And then there was a big space before the next review. Well, and I remember screaming at the paper going, that's the point. That's the point. I'm not going to tell you what you're not taking and who you're not taking it from. It's meant to be that song that everybody could read their situation into, which is why you see people on opposite sides singing the same song back and forth at each other. Because We're Not Gonna Take It is everybody's anthem.
But there was nothing personal in that.
Oh shit, yeah, it was my dad, teachers, ex-girlfriends, assholes, bullies, all those things. But I never imagined it would be political or protests or sporting events or commercials for women's premenopausal medication. Now, I just want to A, apologize, and B, before you judge me, I had 2 kids in college. It was a lot of money, and I vetted them. I said, well, before I say a hard no, what does this thing do? And my manager said, I won't do his English accent. He says, well, it stops women's hair thinning, hot flashes, vaginal dryness. Whoa. Did you just tell me this miraculous elixir stops vaginal dryness? Well, I'm against that, so I completely endorse the use for this commercial and this new fantastic medication. True story, by the way. I see a younger girl over there not laughing. Oh, 20 years from now, you'll be begging for this shit, trust me. When you're blowing dust out of your hooter, you'll be going, what was that stuff that Dee Snider was talking about? Got a dust storm down there. True story. You were saying?
I was saying. So another thing is a really brave thing going up on the PMRC with Frank Zappa talking about music. How did that all come about? Because it really did make a difference.
In 1984, Twisted Sister was breaking wide open, and there was, when you're in your 20s and you're touring in a rock band, you're not watching the nightly news. You're not paying attention, but we still heard, oh, there's some organization that's protesting rock music and wants to rate records and things like that, and we were just. I got arrested. Was getting arrested in Texas for disorderly conduct and profanity and things like that. But it was the time. It was a Reagan era, so it wasn't completely shocking. But then it just got to be a bigger and bigger thing. And quite honestly, I've been asked this a lot. I remember my management saying, "We got a call. I don't know from who, asking if you would consider coming to Washington to testify." They're having a hearing on rating rock records. So I was like, hell yeah. I viewed it as carrying the flag into battle. And I was sure that the hordes of rockers would be behind me, and every band would be behind me, and I would just be leading the way. Didn't turn out to be that type of event, but no regrets in doing it. It was definitely not a positive thing for my career at the time. I mean, as the years went on, the respect I get and what it did for me, as perception people have of me, it was the first time it started to change the way people think about me. So after Twisted went and started working in voiceover and acting and movies and radio, it was that event where people said, well, I saw him speak, and he's just not a blithering idiot like some rock stars. He's he can conjugate a verb and put a sentence together, but that led to a lot of things. But at the time, afterwards, my mail was checked, my packages were checked, my phones were tapped. We were getting shows were getting protested and banned and things like that. It wasn't a smart idea short term for the band and for me, but no regrets long term. And the level of appreciation that I see every day now, people come up to me and shake my hand and just say, thank you for standing up and saying something, so thanks for appreciating it.
Like I'm saying, those videos are still, they're still on YouTube. They still mean something, and there's still so many people watching those. So a long-lasting effect it really had.
Well, it is a part of history. If there's a course on censorship, if there's anything on censorship, that is a moment in time that that people remember and people talk about, and it's taught in schools. And it's great to see so many young people who are, thanks to social media, thanks to YouTube and things like that, are going back and watching these things, and first of all, learning about it, realizing this is a thing that hasn't gone away. This isn't just the beginning of censorship. Censorship's been issued since the beginning of time, and that it was an important moment. And if we don't learn from our mistakes, history teaches us not to make the same mistakes again. So fortunately, it's out there for people to learn about, hear, read, listen, all those things.
It's because it does come out from the heart too, which is really nice.
On the what?
It comes from the heart.
Oh, well, yeah, well, that's the thing that completely threw them for a loop, the senators and Congress people, is that besides that I spoke English fluently, they really thought I was going to be going there like, they looked at my picture and said, oh, this guy's going to be a laugh riot. Let's get him in front of the Senate. They did not read anything about me. So they couldn't have been more stunned when they found out that I didn't drink. I didn't get high. I was married. I had kids. I was, that I was reasonably intelligent. They were not ready for that. But that worked for our side. They really got an earful that they much would have rather had one of my peers, who shall remain nameless. I told my wife I would stop being an asshole and talking about people by name. I hear you, baby. I'm learning. Anyway, but there are other people who would have gone up there and gone. So I didn't.
So let's switch gears. You branched into film and writing. What inspired you to take creative risks outside of rock and roll?
The first thing that caught my attention was the rock videos, and when Twisted was releasing the Stay Hungry album. And they had the director they hired, named Marty Colner, may he rest in peace, brilliant video director. This was his first rock video, though, by the way. He was doing a lot of sporting events. He was doing a lot of HBO concert events, but not rock videos. And he asked me, did I have any ideas for a video? And after the You Can't Stop Rock and Roll video, I saw, wow, there's just limitless possibilities here. So with Marty, and God bless him for this, I said, well, how does this idea about father yelling at his kid about his music, and the kid turning into me, and then blowing the father out the window like a Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner thing, and instead of going, what are you, an idiot? No, he said, I love this, and he started writing everything I was saying down, and then he said to me, hey, sit with me every step of the way, in the storyboarding this thing, in the casting, in the location scouting, stunt coordinating. Dee, what is on the table? What are they eating? Because it was based on my home life. That first, we're not going to take a video. So he encouraged me to be creative with it. And then when I saw, it was one of the first 6-figure rock videos. Before that, you would basically just get people, on camera with some flashing lights. As a matter of fact, a little side story, when We're Not Gonna Take It was brought to Les Garland, the president of MTV, he watched it and said, this is not a rock video, this is method acting. And he said, and never let it get out of B rotation, medium rotation on MTV. So for all the viewing that you saw, we're not going to take it. That was being held back by MTV for not being a rock video. Cut to 6 months later, I Want a Rock video comes out. It is literally the sequel. The idea was like, what does a father like at work? Well, he's an asshole there too. And we sent that video in, and Les Garland, the same one who said this isn't a rock video, watched I Want a Rock and said, now that's a rock video. Hip clip of the week, and then it went crazy at that point. But seeing those things, these crazy ideas some kid had, the kid turns into me, and the father gets thrown out a window. I saw it being brought to life, and I said, this is cool. I love this, and that's when I started writing screenplays, started getting into filmmaking, and that's a place where I'm really focused now, is I'm starting a new film studio, partnered with Relativity Media. It's called Defiant Artists, and we're making our first movie I'm directing called My Enemy's Enemy in March, February and March, and we're going to start producing films, mostly horror, action, thriller genre for the time being, because that's sort of my corner of the sandbox, but we hope to expand once we get things rolling.
So as far as horror films, what kind of horror films were you inspired by? What kind of movies did you watch that made you say, hey, you know what, maybe someday I want to do that?
Well, I like horror films, I like action films, I like thrillers, and I wanted, but I like comedy as well. Like my first few scripts, one of the first things I sold was a movie called Junk Squad, and that was about some kids in a neighborhood who, they were dumpster divers and whatever. They were little. It was a kids' movie, family movie, and and building these things. Whatever. I'm not getting into Junk Squad, but it was a family, wholesome, enjoyable picture. Then I bring my agent Strangeland. She couldn't look me in the fucking eye after she read it, because she thought something was wrong. My wife. Oh my fucking God. So my wife, Suzette, is always my first listener, my first reader, always. So I gave her Strangeland. I said, I just finished the script, I want you to read it. So a couple hours later, she comes walking in. I'm gonna reenact the moment. And she's got the script like this, like it was a diaper. She goes, you have anything you want to tell me? I said, no. Why? She goes, what the fuck is this? Who am I married? She turned to Sam Kidd and said, oh. I said, whoa, honey, it's my dream. My nightmares, not my dreams. And she said, what? I said, this is the shit I'm afraid of. Burning alive, being helpless and suffering. By the way, it was the first film rated R for scenes of torture. So I invented the torture genre. You're welcome. But anyway, I like things that are scary. And if it scares me, I figure it'll scare anybody.
Okay, we're going to get to the audience question. I want to ask you about the new record, Leave a Scar. It's pretty heavy. What brought you into that direction?
Well, Leave a Scar and For the Love of Metal were the last two albums I did. And they, basically on my way out, so to speak, I knew that recording music was not something I saw in my future. Something I wanted to keep doing, but I wanted to make the last things I recorded true to what was in my heart, and that is heavy. And I like heavy music. I also like contemporary heavy music. When people say rock is dead, they're assholes. They got to get out of their mansions and go to a local club and go to a local festival and see the new bands, and you'll see as much passion and motivation. Just because you don't understand the new music doesn't mean it's not worth something. So I connected with Jamie Shasta from Hatebreed, and he produced, and a lot of great songwriters teamed up with me, people from, just so many great bands to really make albums that were worth something. I'm very proud of those records. But now, that is behind me. And like I said, starting this new studio, going to be directing my first movie, and going to be making movies. And really just motivation behind not just doing movies, but in general. I'm kind of disgusted with the world right now on everything about it. It just really disgusts me. But I do notice that we, as a people, we, meaning everybody, we go to a concert, and as long as there's no political angle on it, we share the enjoyment of those songs and of that moment. We go to a movie, and nobody checks at the door to see what political party you're with or where you stand on anything. If it's a good movie, we share that. We share art. And I just like, you know what, I'm done getting political. I'm done getting into any of this shit. All I'm gonna do is make things that people can share, people can enjoy together, and maybe through seeing what we got in common, not so much what we don't have in common, maybe that's how things get better. So don't expect me to open my mouth anymore about any political bullshit, but expect me to produce entertainment and do things that people will share and will enjoy together, and hopefully get back together that way.
Excellent. Nice. Let's get some questions from the audience. Raise your hand if you got a question.
Guy right here in the front.
Hang on. She's gonna bring a microphone over to her.
Okay.
Yeah, we got
I
it.
hear it perfectly.
Yeah, no worries. We got it.
I can yell loud enough.
No, we got a mic.
All right, I gotta ask. I've already understand the Strangeland Disciples Dead in the Water. If, regardless whether it is or not, can you give us any details about the ideas you had for it?
So, the script for Strangeland Disciple, which is the sequel, has been written a long time ago. And since it's just a fact. You know, James Wan and Eli Roth, they bow when they see me because they didn't think about the idea of torturing people and people suffering and being helpless. Everybody's making the same movie. Being chased, being killed, you know. And that gave a lot of people a new direction for horror. By the way, I really need to thank Tom Savini, Pittsburgh's own. That's a whole other story. But the original Strangeland was just a slasher film. And I sent it to him, and he called me up and I said, what do you think? He said, it's terrible. I said, what? He goes, Dee, it's just the same fucking slasher movie again. He goes, but if you want to know why, come visit me. And I got on a train from Long Island to Pittsburgh and spent a couple of days with Tom Savini, and he educated me. He didn't tell me make a torture film or anything like that. He just said, it's played out, man. You know, this, run, stabby, stabby, run, stabby, stabby. You know, it's just old. And on that train ride home, I reinvented the wheel and said, well, all right, if I'm not running, I'm helpless, and if I'm not dying, I'm suffering. And everything grew from there. So thank you, Tom Savini, for being friend enough to tell me the truth, but also saying, but here's, what I think. Oh, by the way, favorite moment. So I sent Strangeland, the new one, to Tom. And I come home from, whatever I was doing, and the answer machine back then light was on. I press the button, and I hear, Dee, it's Tom. Creepy, man. Real creepy. I was like, yes! Fucking Tom Savini said creepy. But, so, coming to Strangeland 2, now we've got Hostel, now we've got Saw. So I said, I got to show these kids how it's done. So I didn't just lower the bar. I dug a hole in the ground and dropped that fucking bar right in there. And so Strangeland Disciple is intensely dark and intensely next level. I'm not going to tell you the details of it. I will tell you that secretly I'm building this film studio to find artists. I haven't mentioned it to my partners, so they can make Strangeland 2. So it's not on we've got a whole thing of films that we're working on, 7 movies, no Strangeland 2, but I'm the chairman of the company, and believe me, I'm just getting ready. It's in my back pocket. I'm gonna whip that thing out and go, aha! Now we're making my movie. So I don't know if I'm loincloth worthy anymore, or if I need to get someone to stand in, but Strangeland 2, I have not given up.
Can't wait.
Okay.
And question right down the middle.
two-parter for you. How you said new artists, support new artists in films. Is there any new artists you're liking right now, or bands? And is there any new horror movies or franchises kicking off that you're liking?
Well, I mean, it's a lot. It's funny because you say, you know, new bands, and I realize so many years have gone by. I go, oh, I really like, you know, blankety blank, and that band's 20 years old already. You know, Bring Me the Horizon. When my daughter turned me on to them, they were, you know, playing clubs in the United States, and now they're headlining arenas, and Falling in Reverse, bands like that. You know, I mean, so now these bands have been around for 10, 15, 20 years, so they're not even new bands anymore. So if I start listening to bands, they sound old already. There's plenty out there, and I just, like I said, I've just always got my ears open. I mean, I did, on the Leave a Scar album, I did a duet with Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse. And I reached out to him. The guy almost started crying. He did not. But he was like, are you kidding? You want me to sing on one of your songs? Like, people from the Cookie Monster, I don't call them that, but they don't get the respect of the older generations, the classic rockers. And for someone to acknowledge that they had value, George, that's Corpse Grinder, was just like overwhelmed. Especially he was a fan of mine, as it turned out. But so we do a song, Time to Choose, and he does a vocal and a fucking half on there. So I'm always open to new bands. As far as horror movies go, I just keep wanting something to scare me. And it just doesn't, nothing scares me enough. But my new movie, My Enemy's Enemy, I think will disturb you. The catchphrase that we've been using in-house is, my enemy's enemy will do for eating in a diner what Jaws did for swimming in an ocean. It's based on a true crime in 1982 on Long Island, where 5 guys invaded a diner, locked the door, ripped the arm to the teeth, ripped the phone off the wall, and did awful things to people in that diner. Your imagination can't run wild enough. They didn't kill anybody, so they couldn't put them to death, but they got 365 years consecutive each. And they changed the laws in New York State to say that some things are bad enough to deserve the death penalty, even if someone doesn't die, because people were so brutalized. And using that, I lived right near that diner, using that crime, I said, what if there was a Jason Voorhees in there? Like someone worse than these guys. And he started killing everybody. Not just the bad guys, everybody. Could the victims and the criminals join forces, if they had to survive and fight a greater evil? So this is a movie that starts out as a crime, drama, action, thriller, and somewhere along the way turns into this horror movie. And so that's My Enemy's Enemy, and you look forward to that. And I expect that will inspire some people to make different horror movies. You gotta keep mixing it up.
Next question, please.
This is less of a question, just more of a shout out. I really enjoyed House of Hair with Dee Snider whenever I was in grad school about 10 years ago. I look forward to it every Saturday night. Are you still doing that show?
House of Hair is in its 28th year. It's been on the air over 350 stations worldwide. And the weekly show, also have this thing called that daily haircut thing, but some people get to hear. But it's so funny, when I started that show in, it was 1997. I remember saying to the producers, like, how long do you think this is gonna go for, 3 or 4 years? And she looked at me and said, are you kidding? This is the soundtrack to people's lives. As long as people who grew up on this music are alive, they will be listening to the show. And here we are 28 years later. I've got people who got married when that show started, had kids when that show started, had grandkids when that show's been on. And it's amazing that families generationally have shared it. And the one thing about the 80s, 70s, 80s, early 90s music, but that era, is it had a middle finger factor that's lacking in a lot of music. We were very much about saying, fuck you. We didn't whine, we didn't complain, we just were in your face. And a lot of young people really like that attitude. They see that, they want that. And to see it exploited in TV shows like The Peacemaker and many other shows that are out there where you're hearing this great music from those decades still being represented. It's just amazing, and that's why House of Hair is still on, so thanks for listening, man. Appreciate that.
Next.
Hey, Dee. First off, I just wanted to say congratulations on the upcoming Twisted Sister reunion tour next year. I know everyone's really excited for that. I was just curious, when you have a big tour like that coming up, how do you prepare for that? How do you keep yourself in such great shape, man? Because you never seem to really age.
Don't look too closely. First of all, the T word. We made a press release. It said, anniversary, 50th anniversary shows. The press immediately said, they're hitting the road and back on tour. Like, what the fuck? Called up my agent, sitting over there. I said, what the fuck you mean tour? I ain't getting it. He goes, I didn't say that. The press just jumped and changed the words of the press release. So, much to people's disappointment, it's 25 shows worldwide, which is a handful. It's not city to city, town to town, show after show. The mind is willing, but the body is weak. And whether I'm in shape or not, I haven't done 15, 18 songs in a row in a long, long time. So what will I be doing? You know, my workout regimen is not what it once was, but I got to get back to it. And I got to be ready. Because the last thing somebody wants to see is Axl Rose on the MTV Awards when Guns N' Roses came back. Does anybody remember that? Burst out of the side stage singing and Welcome to the Jungle. And my verse 2, he was like this. We have fun and games. We got Honey, is this being an asshole? Honey, sexy girl. Or better yet, Glenn Danzig, the first Misfits show. Riot Fest. Poor bastard. You gotta burst out on stage, the opening song, finishes it. He's there panting on the stage going, are you ready for another one? And he said it right when that odd moment when the crowd goes quiet just for a second. So a single voice came out and said, are you? True story. And we hear that shit, by the way. We can hear that shit. And so, yeah, I got some working out to do. Because I ain't ready yet, but I will be ready. And hopefully, if there's a show anywhere, regionally, please come, because it's not going to be city to city. I'm sorry. I wish I could, but I can't.
Come to Pittsburgh!
It's a good rock town.
Is New York on the list?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know nothing. So far, I heard Alaska. Alaska? Oh, we never played Alaska. Okay, good.
All right, next question, right back in the back.
Hi. I remember when Stay Hungry came out, saving my lunch money all week to come home to have my mom go, what is on this cover? Who is this? Is this a girl? Is it a guy? It was so great. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But my question is about the PMRC trials. Do you have any good John Denver stories to tell?
I wish I had John Denver stories. One of my life's great regrets is that I did not get to meet him, to shake his hand, to thank him. Because his testimony was some of the most powerful, not in what he said was powerful, but the fact of what he represented. He, at that time, had transcended his music and was doing annual Christmas broadcasts on ABC. He was coming at that moment from NASA, where he's being interviewed to be the first musician in space. He was making movies like Oh God and Oh God 2, and so he was a movie star. He was Mom and Apple Pie. And I remember being in the back with Frank Zappa, and we were talking, going, what do you think John's gonna do? We knew he should be on our side, but you know, fame and fortune does have a way of turning your head. And if you watch the testimony, when he walked out, those politicians were kissing his ass because they were sure that John Denver would be on their side. But damn, he was not. And when he started comparing this hearing to Nazi book burnings, which is what he said, boy, they started scrambling. So I wish I could have thanked him. Now the odd thing I found out later is that he was more rock and roll than anybody. Me and Frank were. Me and Frank were clean and sober. John apparently was a raging drunk and had taken a chainsaw to his furniture in his house, and he's a real rocker, you know. So, but anyway, yeah. Unfortunately, no, nothing I can share. Great man, though.
Down on the side.
The mayor.
Oh boy, how are you?
All right, no pressure. This guy's the mayor of a town. He gave me the town card. He said, if I ever get pulled over for speeding or anything in his town, call him.
Oh my
I'm
God, you
keeping it in
remember
my
that.
wallet.
You're paying attention.
Yeah, I'm
Fair
paying
amount
close
more, like
attention.
one in New Jersey, so
People
a
in
little bit of a
important
hike.
places, okay.
So, two-part question. The first one is, she already said you're probably not going to do, but can you do the verse to "We're Not Going to Take It" for this room? Just a few words.
Do the verse.
Yes, just
what? To show that I can still do it. I'm not like my peers who
we
shall
love
remain
you,
nameless,
man.
who go, you go into the song, and then they go, sing it! Because I can't anymore. And you go, I go, we're not gonna take it. Yeah, I can do it. Thanks, okay. You're gonna burn in hell, you know, under the blade, you know.
That's all I have.
This is, you know, whatever you want. Don't worry about me being able to sing it. Being able to move around the stage without one of those little carts, that's another story. Is your hand all the way to the
There you go, right down the middle, or sort of. You make it? You got it? Oh, you gotta read it? Okay, just gotta read it.
I just have a simple question. What advice would you give to anyone that wants to continue being a rock star in the future forever?
I'm hesitating just because I'm formulating my thoughts. I have nothing but positive to say about anybody who wants to make music, wants to get out there, wants to do it. Don't think that, you know, you don't listen to those people, the naysayers, who say it's dead. But do realize the scene has changed. When I got into business, I wanted to be a rich, famous rock star. In that order. I wanted to be rich. I was a poor kid growing up. I wanted to be famous. I love rock and roll, and I could sing. And I said, okay, I'm gonna be a rock star, and that's how I'm gonna get rich and famous. Rich and famous is not really an option anymore in rock and roll, but you play because you want to rock. And when I see bands and I go to these shows, when my peers say rock is dead, go to a show. You will not see more passion coming out of these young musicians. And the audiences, they know every freaking word. The passion for music, the love is there, and for all the right reasons. Because they're not planning on making a living doing it. They're hoping to just make enough money to get to the next town. It breaks my heart when I see it, because there's so much passion for the music, and they just really have no hope of striking gold like we did. Not that it was easy, but still there was a chance you could. So, but I say we need passion. We need music. We need new music from young people. So go out there and fucking knock them dead. Please.
Right there.
Hi, I'm interested in music business. It's actually what I want to study, and I have a question about, could you elaborate on the process of basically going from selling records, CDs, to the more streaming world of 2025? How was that transition? Or Ian's oh, streaming's going to be like not gonna fucking last. Like, what was that process like, going from like basically selling records to nobody's buying records and stuff anymore to everybody's on Spotify and Apple Music? What was that like?
I didn't make the transition, and I don't mean that. I didn't make the transition, and thank God I didn't have to. It's a very, very different world. There are people who work for me, like Matt, wherever he is, who are way better suited to take this microphone and give you a tutorial on how to do it, because he's dealing in the world where people are out there touring and functioning and you know, with you know, based on downloads and Spotify and things like that, but no record sales at all. I'm just every day just so grateful that my time predates this one. Young people, they are adapting and figuring out how to monetize it, and some of them are doing it quite successfully, most in the pop world, not so much in the rock world, but that doesn't mean it couldn't change. But I'm sadly, I'm not the guy who can answer that question for you. I'm sorry.
That's okay, thank you anyway.
I appreciate
We
it.
got time for 2 more questions.
Well, I
Steve?
want that guy all the way in the back who's had his hand on.
All right, you got it.
Hey, Dee, I just wanted to tell you, man, thank you for a rocking career and for what you do, because you got me started back in '85, and you were my idol from the day I grew up. I wanted to be like you and sing like you, and I do sing. I do car karaoke now, but I do a lot of different things, actually, and you got me into the music industry big time.
Well, you seem to have turned out fine, so you're welcome. Not everybody turns out as well. I've been dealing with a Pittsburgh area stalker who we had to get a court order against because, well, first she wanted to marry me. Then I didn't reject her as far as I know, but I would have to since I'm already married. But then she wanted to kill me, drink my blood, and eat my vital organs. And she's been very persistent for quite a while now. And we had to literally get a order of protection against her because she's been showing up at shows and being escorted out. So, but you know, one bad apple doesn't spoil the whole bunch. The rest of you seem like you're fine. No, don't tell the truth. Okay, but you're welcome, man, and I'm glad. And for all those people, when people come up to me and go, you were there for me, Dee. Your words were there for me during very difficult times in my life. And nothing makes me happier, because if you look at my music, I didn't write about sex and drugs and partying. I was screaming for you to stand up for yourself, believe in yourself, push back, fight back, don't take shit from anybody. And I was screaming in the night, hoping that you heard me. And to find out that so many people did really makes me happy, because that is what I wanted to do. Lift you up. I want to lift you up.
Excellent. We got time for one more question, and you're going to go back to your table to sign. Am I correct, Dee?
Yeah, is he correct?
Okay,
Yes.
we got one. And once again, thanks for doing this. It's awesome to have you here. Let's get our last question.
We're way back in the back here.
In the back.
Dee, I know you mentioned whenever the reunion shows were announced, you used AI to like figure out what songs were popular. What were some like surprises throughout your data that you wondered, like, why are people listening to this song?
So when you say, yeah, so I'm not a big AI guy, but I thought it would be interesting, since it can harvest data, to see if I put in, well, what are the most streamed, downloaded, purchased, songs. And you can, as you well know, most of you know, you can, you teach it, you refine what the questions are. And there were songs that were surprises. But I don't know if I'm gonna get into the actual list. I was just say that we as a band have relationships, Twisted Sister, with certain albums. And our feelings about certain albums are often reflected in the band relationship at that time. How was there was an album, say like You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, where we were living together in a studio in England. It was just us, no wives, no girlfriends, no managers, just a band. hanging together and recording. It was the best recording experience. And that album has for all of us, has such a positive place because it was such a positive experience. Later albums were not as good experiences. People weren't in the room together. People weren't getting along together. People weren't showing up and were, just come in to do their part and get the fuck out. There was a lack of camaraderie. And some of those later albums, they don't have a fond place in the heart of the band members. For me, I wrote every song on every album, so I would never present a song that I wasn't proud of. But for the band members, they connect some of these albums, some of these songs to negative memories. And surprise, surprise, songs in those later albums come out and play. Love is for Suckers, they're loved as well around the world. So that was, and the band is accepting that hey, just because your memory of that recording of that song at that time isn't fond, it's the audience that received the music, they liked it, and this is who we're playing for, isn't it? So the set list is going to reflect. I mean, I know that we ignore, well, Lovers Suckers was completely ignored almost, and Come Out and Play was reduced to a medley. And, and because the band didn't have fond memories of it, that's changing. So I'll tell you that.
Nice. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for coming out. The one, the only, the internet, Dee Snider.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you, and it's great to see you. And have great holidays, happy and healthy. And like I said, if there's a show in your region, don't sit there waiting for it to come to your town necessarily. Say, fuck it, get in the car, drive, and come and see the show. Because I don't think we're doing it another 50 years from now. I'm pretty sure that's dead out. Right? And my agent is going, maybe.
One more time for Dee Snider. Thank you so much, man. Cheers. Headed back to the table to sign. Excellent job, everyone. Nicely done.
Alrighty, guys. What did you think of that? That was Dee Snider. That was his panel. I thought it was really cool. It was funny. It was interesting to hear him talk about things. But anyway, hit that like and subscribe button. We'll go on more adventures. It's your friend Chris. Peace.